Hello, and welcome to another edition of the SEANC View podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Owens, the Communications Director, fresh off a much-needed vacation, back in the studio with Ardis Watkins, the Executive Director of SEANC, and Sam Cline, our Digital Communications Specialist slash podcast producer slash utility player when we need a host. She jumped in and did a great job last week. We got a lot of things to get to this week, and we'll hope to get you out here in pretty short order.
You are sun-kissed. You have sun-kissed cheeks.
Especially, you see my nose.
Mm-hmm.
I have a little mark on my nose. Every time I put on sunscreen, my nose explodes.
Well, it looks like you had a good time. That's a good thing.
But anyway, it was a good time, and you guys had a great time in the studio last week.
Always.
I heard the podcast. It was a very informative episode. I'll say informative. No, it really was a good episode.
No, we loved having Brad here. He educated us on a lot.
Educated you on education.
We cannot get enough education about education because it is complicated.
Made me
really
cry.
Did you cry?
Yeah, I cried.
I laughed. I cried. Yeah, it's interesting because, we deal so much with state employee issues. And there's like this whole other side that maybe we're not, or I'm not as in tune with that's happening at our public schools. But when you really think about it, the issues pretty much the same.
Definitely,
across the board.
especially the benefits. And that's kind of the point of it is we have had so many people reach out to us as an organization who work in public schools in different capacities who want to be part of SEANC. And so we are making the appropriate efforts to make sure by hiring people like Brad and doing the kind of extensive education about education that we're doing, that we are here to help them.
And we're looking for ways to find those similarities and to look for ways we can help them as well. And
absolutely.
Yeah. And from what I gathered from Brad's take on everything, it seems like there is a lot of interest still in SEANC and looking to join. So we're excited about that. Brad's at convocation today. He sent me some pictures. He was at one yesterday in Granville County, I think.
Oh, it's wild. All those convocations take place over about a 2-week period.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's like, I think there's like 115 school districts.
Yeah, and if y'all don't know what a convocation is, it's the one big meeting a year usually a school district does right before the students are back, and it gets everybody together that works in the schools.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll give you a little brag. You had the idea that we should start going to those things, and we've really made some inroads in the last few years.
We've appreciated being allowed to come to so many.
So that's just to follow up on last week's. Any other follow-ups from last week before we jump into this week? I guess we need to follow up a little bit on the mini budget that was passed last week. I did have a question that Ardis can help me with. So when they spend the money on the mini budget, does that take away from the overall money that's there for the actual budget if it ever happens?
It does. Anything you spend takes away from what you've got, and what you've got left, it's a smaller pie at this point to divide up.
Yeah.
Among all the people who still want to bite a pie. It's going to be very hard for state employees or retirees to get anything meaningful out of what's left.
Yeah, so people on step pay plans, they got essentially raises, but they just got what they would get on their step plan for the next year, right? I mean, for a step up.
Right. They know their pay will adjust at least as much as the step.
So that was a given, but anything beyond that is going to be
you can freeze the steps. They're not.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're not a given. So, I mean, at least I've seen it happen before. The legislature can pretty much do anything they want to do. And I am concerned, though. I'm concerned about what's left and then what the federal budget that was passed last month, the pressures that puts on states.
Mm-hmm.
We did talk a little last week about how the League of Municipalities and the County Commissioners Association put out the results of a survey they had done of local government, and that local governments were fully intending for the vast majority of them to give good raises above 3% for a cost of living, and then in many cases merit on top of that.
Last week, Suzanne said, I heard her say that some legislators were saying that this mini budget will help them get to a full budget quicker, while others were saying it may be April before we even visit that again.
Yeah. I don't know how it solves the issues they're stuck on, which
Yeah.
are how they want the tax plan to look like moving forward, how quickly they want those reductions to take place. And they keep saying, well, they're kind of stuck on the issue of state employee raises. Well, you're getting less stuck if you spend all this money before you even address them. I mean, mini budgets are great when you're in them.
Yeah.
And we've been in that spot before where we were prioritized, we were included, we were put in that mini budget, and those were good times. That's not this year, though. And don't get me wrong, I'm not by any means am I putting this on the Republicans controlling the legislature, because I've been getting that a lot. These Republicans, they're not giving us anything. Well, let's break that down. The House passed a House budget a couple months ago, and most Democrats voted for that thing, and it gave good raises. They did a good job. Good raises were proposed in that for teachers. But no one else in the school systems working, or no one else in state government working, nor the retirees got anything meaningful. And a huge gulf between what most state employees would get and teachers. So Democrats and Republicans voted for that. So there was no one prioritizing state employees, to be clear. No one. So this isn't a partisan issue. This is a politician issue. Each politician individually needs to be called by you because nobody is putting you first. And they're each going to blame each other to a degree because that's politics. But you need to know the facts. There is no group that's been out there publicly saying, we have to do at least as well. We need at least equal for everybody. Whatever money we've got, let's be equal about it. And you've heard that from both sides in the past. You're not hearing it this year. So make no mistake, the way people become a priority down there is by being heard from.
Yeah. And we have a button in the scoop each week for you to reach out to your legislators and let them know that you're still here. You still need a raise. You still need a cost of living adjustment.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, some people will hear this and think, oh, Ardis, you're so silly. The House Democrats that wasn't really how they feel by voting with that. They voted with that to put that pressure on Senate Republicans and to get House and Senate Republicans fighting with each other, to which I respond, I don't care why they did it. It could be a game.
Yeah.
That makes it a little worse to me because the public statement of that vote is the same, whether you intended it to be some kind of game or whether you just don't care.
I didn't understand the strategery of that move either. Seems like they gave a lot of ground up from siding with a House budget that includes the money for the scholarship.
It didn't cover what their stated priorities are. But that's why SEANC's got a very long track record at this point of being nonpartisan.
Yeah.
And literally taking every House and Senate member one by one in terms of who we throw our support behind, because it's not about party. Honestly, you will find individuals who do care about the state employees or retirees in their district. And you'll find others that simply don't. And you have to support the people who support you. Yeah. And SEANC does believe that.
Moving to this week's news so far. It is Tuesday, by the way, so we are recording a little early this week, but already we have some major news about state government in the form of State Auditor Dave Bullock's audit of the Division of Motor Vehicles, DMV, which he had promised on the campaign trail, and he did produce this week a 435-page report that was created by 20 people in his office, and it largely found what we've been talking about for the last 2 years in this podcast studio, that we need more DMV workers and they need to be paid better.
Yeah, and we've been talking about it publicly for a minimum of 10.
Yeah.
Well, it goes back to when Pat McCrory ran for governor. So we're talking over 10 years ago. He ran largely on a platform of, we've got to fix this DMV, because he said he went to DMV and he was so appalled by how long it took and, the bad attitudes he felt that, he was receiving from people. And he wanted to have one of his first things as governor be to reform this mess. And he did end up spending a lot of money, or suggesting a lot of spending, but not on people.
Yeah.
On
modernization.
Yeah, on adding hours, and having Saturdays where we would open, and then some IT things around modernization and trying to change the culture. And in fact, in his February State of the State in 2015, he said the DMV now has a culture that treats people like customers. So as of February 2015, we had all this solved.
Yeah.
Except you're not going to have a DMV staff that treats people like customers as much of the time as it should happen. You can never have 100%, but you can't have people treating people like customers and treating them properly when they're so mistreated.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. It's just not realistic or logical. Sure, it would be nice. Sure, feeling respected in terms of your compensation and having enough coworkers to get the job done shouldn't be a prerequisite for treating people decently. But as Auditor Bullock pointed out in his report, the employees at DMV are treated in many times not just disrespectfully, but treated with violence from the public, and the public's frustration boils over sometimes. So when you're treated with that and you don't have enough coworkers and you've been telling anybody who would listen, your past leaders have been telling anybody that would listen that you need more coworkers, and you can't keep the ones you've got because nobody's getting paid enough, what do you think you're going to get? So it'd be amusing if it wasn't so serious, this DMV thing. Because we've been talking, obviously, since at least 2012, this has been a huge issue for politicians.
Yeah, and I didn't mean to be flippant about the report. Kudos to him for making that statement that we do need more folks and we need to pay them better. It seems like to me the major takeaway that I'm seeing from this press conference yesterday may just be kind of burying the lead. I look at the insider story here. First sentence, the largest issue identified by the audit of the troubled DMV is its governance structure. It seems like everyone's pointing to the part where Bullock said that we should take DMV out of DOT and make it its own agency.
Mm-hmm. So the issue there is the auditor's office pointed out that DMV brings in, because it's fee supported, brings in more money than it gets out of the DOT budget. Well, we used to have things in the General Assembly that reviewed exactly that kind of issue. It was called the Program Evaluation Division, and it was disbanded in 2021. It was there for exactly that kind of reason. An agency needs to be called in and questioned about this stuff. It's as easy as that. And then the legislators, who are elected by the people as a body from all over the state,
to determine the direction.
Yes, determine if there's a problem. And then, trust me, when legislators tell you, having worked for an agency and gone down to the legislature, if they tell you there's a problem, they don't like your answers, you darn sure will get the situation resolved to where your answers can be exactly what they need to be.
So how do you feel about, I guess, the Highway Patrol just was separated from DPS into its own?
I think it's too ill-defined. I mean, a standalone agency, and then there were 3 examples given in the audit of other standalone agencies, and one of those in a financial audit was found to have had problems. I went to the auditor's website, went to the most recent financial audit, and I thought, okay, well, I don't think you really want to do that, have it look like that. It's so ill-defined that it makes me feel like it's trying to, once again, trot down this privatization road, which has been very openly discussed by legislators in the last few years. And it's the oldest song in the book. Every time there's a problem, well, let's privatize. But let's go back to 2012, Pat McCrory saying, this is an issue and I'm going to fix it. And then all these years have passed. And again, multiple times, the legislature's been told we don't have enough people and we're not paying them enough. And it's not just DMV. That's the one people know is government. Mm-hmm. Some things they don't know, it's the government.
That's the one they interact with too, right?
But if their newborn's not getting screening in an appropriate time frame after birth, they don't know that has anything to do with DHHS inability to staff because salaries are not appropriate. But they know DMV is the government and they have to interact with that. But I feel like where DMV is put is not the issue.
Yeah.
And if you think it is, that's easily enough solved. Pull that agency into the General Assembly to answer questions on exactly why are those figures, why do they seem to be a discrepancy, rather than, well, we're just going to move it. Because that does not solve the reason we're in this mess. We're in this mess because for decades, our population has grown exponentially, and we have not given DMV positions commensurate with that increase in population. We simply have not. We've given them a fraction of that. And I know that part of what I've been reading today was the strangest part to me was that, well, the General Assembly didn't know DMV needed that amount of positions because DOT didn't tell them. Wayne Goodwin, the former commissioner, I've sat in meetings at the General Assembly where he told them exactly how many he needed. So I'm so confused by that. But it seems like some of the media actually thinks that's a thing. Like whether or not it was in the official DOT request to the appropriations chairs, it was literally all over the media how many they needed. And it was something that Wayne Goodwin talked about to legislators in testimony before the legislature. So it would be ridiculous for us to claim now that we did not know we needed a lot more people in DMV. It would just be ridiculous.
So the News and Observer story says that the General Assembly had not authorized the DMV to hire additional driver's license examiners since 2003, even as the state grew by almost 2.5 million residents. That's really hard to believe. I guess it's true, but wow, that's 22 years we haven't added?
I mean, I believe it.
Okay.
I mean, I wish I didn't believe it, but it's been cut has been the mentality.
Yeah.
And again, this is not a Republican thing. This is Republicans and Democrats have choked out DMV. So be clear on this.
Yeah. So this winter, we've talked about it a little bit. The DMV asked for 61 additional people to fill holes, and Governor Josh Stein passed that request along, and last week lawmakers included it in the spending bill they sent to Stein. So I guess the mini budget.
Which is still a lot less people than Wayne Goodwin was asking for in the last few years. So how do we magically all of a sudden need less people? I mean, everyone knows we need more people. You can go to any DMV and you can know we need more people.
But it's like you said in an interview earlier with a news outlet that asked about this subject. We need people in a lot of places, not just DMV. I mean,
correct.
We need it in prisons. We need folks all over state government.
And even if you hired them, if you don't increase those salaries, you're not keeping them. You stay in a perpetual problem. This retention issue, which we've talked about ad nauseum, like I just feel like that's all we've said for 5 years. We can't retain people. So that means we desperately need to recruit more, but we can't recruit more because we don't pay enough. We're in a loop we can't get out of. The problem is, again, this loop affects North Carolinians every single day, and oftentimes they don't know why. Something bad's happening in their life, but it's frankly that their public employee positions aren't being funded appropriately. So it's frustrating, to say the least. But that's the issue. You could hire a bunch of DMV folks today. They're not going to stay at the salaries that we give right now.
Especially given the pressures on the job and the anger that you see from folks every day, you know. Speaking of which, I did see on Twitter that the assistant basketball coach at NC State is having quite a day at the DMV. He says he's been there. I guess it's kind of been a running thing all day, and he's been there about 8 hours. And I guess he went and bought some donuts for the staff there.
Yeah, I read that. He said,
and I know he's just being funny or whatever, but that's not really helpful for his fellow state employees.
Yeah, I mean, donuts are nice, but paying your bills is better. And it's not, the assistant basketball coach at NC State can't do anything about the salaries. What he can do, though, if you hear this, Brandon Chambers, what would be awesome is for your experience to become something as a fellow state employee. We're quick to fund basketball programs, and we've got all kinds of outside ways to do that, too. Alumni are going to hop in, and we'll fund those things because they matter to us. We have to fund the core services the way we fund sports. Yeah. That would be awesome. Yeah. And then, because I hate he had to spend a whole day at the DMV. I hate that.
Maybe he can come and testify as a consumer.
Right. I mean, it got a lot of attention. The sad thing is the attention will largely focus, the comments on social media will start being the same old, which is, the employees there stink.
Yeah, pretty much.
But we're back. We're back to not paying enough. And what kind of people are you going to get? So when taxpayers, if you just ask a friend who's not in state government or anywhere, doesn't know anybody in state government, should we pay state workers? What should we pay them? They'll probably tell you the very least we can. That's exactly what we need. We have to be careful with our tax dollars. Well, you can do that. And it's just like if you hire somebody at your house, if you hire the very least you can find to pay, you might get lucky, but you're probably going to get what you paid for.
So if we have so few tax dollars, why do we keep cutting taxes? That's a whole other issue.
Whole other
discussion.
What you do with the taxes you bring in is what matters.
Yeah, and I think you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
In all facets of life. So I think we had, like I said, last week was a long episode. We'll give these folks a short episode this week. I think that's about all that's really on my mind. How about you, Ardis?
I mean, being that it's Tuesday,
Yeah.
so far so good.
Now it's time for the Gen Z Minute of the Week.
Yeah, so I don't really have anything big this week, but I did find an article that kind of has just some top Gen Z statistics for employers in 2025. So I thought we'd just run through a couple of those. So the number one that they pointed out was that 77% of Gen Z prioritize work-life balance, which we have discussed before. It's very important to a lot of Gen Zs.
What does that mean? What does work-life balance mean? You want more time off? Or you want to work from home? Or what
No, it's more necessarily separating their work and personal life, like when they are at the office and when they are committed to putting in their hours that they are committed to, they're there. When they are at home, they're not checking emails, they're not checking phone calls for work.
Do you think that means they don't want work to define them, or you don't work?
I think so, because I think it also kind of includes, there's been a new trend that I noticed when I was doing my research today of micro retirements.
Oh my gosh, what is that?
Where it's not just Gen Z doing this. I don't think it's become more and more of a trend, kind of like quiet quitting and other things like that. But it's more of taking sabbaticals and taking like a year off.
Oh, for goodness. Okay.
Or months at a time.
All right. You people need some problems.
Yeah. Come on now.
But it also could be, I didn't see a lot about it. It could be that people are just saying, oh, I'm changing to a new job or a new role. And instead
How does anybody do that?
Yeah.
How do your bills not happen for a year?
Yeah.
I don't get that.
I was raised with you have to have at least 6 months of like all your bills saved up.
So you want to, if
life.
that's what you believe, you can't spend it to just hang out. You have it for an emergency.
Yeah, but I'm not doing a micro retirement. I don't know.
I'm just trying to figure it out.
You speak for the Gen X, Gen Z. No.
It might be some of the people who live in vans and like to do the van life kind of stuff.
Yeah.
They're just instead of...
I really question where they get stats like this. I mean, I'm not questioning your research or anything, but like you always see things like this. Like, oh, people just
as
like
old
to
folks,
chill.
we try to be very open to these Gen Z moments. But
Like
I
I
think
said,
you can tell you just...
I'm a little
the nerd.
confused by the micro retirement thing too. I understand
because how could you possibly have that kind of savings sitting around, but then say you can't put a down payment on a house? Stop it.
Exactly.
And like I think your generation, our generation, like we're all...
It's very important to John to just...
No, I was worried about that. That's why I said hour. No, but like I mean, like a big part of why, I have to work all the time. Like I always have to have a job is because of health insurance, right?
Yeah.
So, that's America.
Yeah. So how are these people getting health insurance? Or
I do not.
Well, when you're young, maybe you can roll those dice a little easier, but
not if you're me.
Yeah, I mean, depending on the person, but
yeah.
What other stat do you have?
Also with the micro retirement thing, like I said, I didn't do a lot of research into it. Maybe it's partially like a Gen Zs feel like they're never going to be able to retire because of how
Neither
things
do we.
So they're kind of just like, fine, I'll take mini retirements throughout my life working. I don't know.
What else is on this list? Anything?
Some of the other ones were that currently we make up 30% of the world's population and are expected to take up 27% of the workforce by 2030.
That one's interesting to me because it seems like you'd make 30% up now if you're 30% of the population, right? Because you're working.
Well, not all of us are graduated from college.
Or not getting, extended.
I'm on the older end of Gen Z. There's still
like graduate degrees. Some of them are in medical school till they're...
But doesn't it also kind of point out that
old.
people are working longer? Like boomers are still in those jobs and not turning...
Well, again, because nobody feels like they can retire.
Yeah.
I mean...
And they're living longer.
Yeah.
Everyone's living longer.
And any of us in the world who are on 401ks are watching it be the most,
And no one's on a pension.
And be the most unpredictable thing ever. The last thing you can do is just go, I'm just going to go live off of this.
Yeah.
For 3 months.
70% of Gen Zers prioritize pay/salary as a top aspect they want from their next job.
I think that's common across the board pretty much, right?
Yeah. I feel like that's a pretty common. Benefits and pay are usually common things that people look at whenever
we are still seeing, though, the studies that have been done of people who want public jobs. It surprised me how many of the young people did care about the benefits.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
didn't think any of y'all would care, but apparently it's a larger number than you would think.
I think even I would take maybe a lower salary if it had better benefits.
to go and do it
There'd be
over
a trade
again is
over.
go to state government and stay there so you can.
Yeah, especially if I got
retirement.
in before January 2021 and had
Mhm.
health insurance when I
Yeah.
retired. That's a big one.
It's huge.
Yeah.
And then there are also some just strange statistics in here that I don't completely understand how they relate to Gen Z in the workforce, but like one of them is only 45% of Gen Zers describe their mental health as excellent or very good.
Well, I think that's
Probably.
true. I mean, I think it carries over into the workplace, but I think we've talked about this a number of times. I don't know how y'all are dealing with the world. I mean, the world just didn't look like this when we were your age, and
Yeah.
it's harder to be hopeful, I think.
I don't know how any of us are dealing with it. But yeah.
And the last one that I thought was kind of interesting, only 41% of Gen Zers expect to own a home one day. It's kind of sad to think about, but
Well, that's factual.
Yeah.
Private equity's buying them up
yeah,
Yeah.
so they can rent them to you.
kind of crazy. Yeah,
whole
I
lot.
don't want that.
Well, then you have to elect folks who don't like that
Homeownership,
either.
A lot of headache.
Yeah.
I don't know. I could deal with renting the rest of my life. I mean, I don't now.
Well, no, I mean,
But-
you can't deal with it as private equity starts to buy it all up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And
Well-
then they make your rent to where you can't
I
afford
get calls like once or twice a week from somebody trying to buy my
it.
house.
Sure.
Oh yeah, my parents get those all the time.
But they're
Because
probably
my
not gonna
parents
offer.
also look at me and they're like, Sammy, we have 10 acres of land, nice house, they live well. My rent is their mortgage.
Yeah. Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Actually, my rent's a little more than their mortgage.
Yeah. I mean, that's reality. It's
Yeah.
bad.
And my parents were happy that I got my rent at what I did because I can't pay more.
Well, and that's a very real thing. And we talk about that with regard to public employees a lot, particularly because there are a lot of public employees you're going to have more public employees, state and city county, in your larger areas, Wake and Mecklenburg and places like that.
Yeah.
And the cost of living, cost of housing and stuff like that in those counties is atrocious.
Yeah. So those were just a couple things that I thought were interesting in that.
Cool beans. That was a good, random, simple topic. But
Yeah.
I enjoyed that from time to time. So, all right. So we're going to wrap up with the question of the week. And since it's back to school time, sort of, my daughter goes back like next Friday, August 15th. That seems really early to me. Didn't we go back like the last week in August or?
I didn't.
It's been
Oh,
too
really?
I
long
used
for
to
me
be
remember.
like very early August.
And Brenda Williams was saying her grandkids start tomorrow. So
Mhm.
I guess, I don't know.
I think they stagger it a little bit now.
Yeah.
So in honor of back to school
Do we want to do
time.
your theme song?
Oh, yeah. Hit me.
Hit me.
John's wacky weird question of the week.
Can't forget the theme song. Is that Bo Burnham singing that? Or is it?
No, I wish it was. That's just an AI
It
voice.
sounds like they made that AI voice from him, though.
It could be. I don't know.
Anyway.
Maybe they based it off of him.
But my question this week is, who is your favorite teacher? Anyone have any favorite teachers growing up?
Lots.
How
I'll
far
start.
back do I need to go?
Anytime, any teacher, professor, anything.
Hmm.
Mine was Mr. Weeks. He was my journalism teacher in high school, and he taught me how to do newspapering and how to love newspapering. And so I learned a lot from him that I just, when I went to college, I was a little ahead of the game just working with him because he was a former reporter. So that was my guy, Jeff Weeks. He passed away too a few years ago. So, but yeah, that's mine. So anyone?
I'm going to say it was my AP US history teacher / AP European history teacher, junior and senior year of high school, Miss Barrier. Shout out to Miss Barrier. She still works at Grays Creek.
Yay. Hey, Miss
Um,
Barrier.
She was great. She was amazing. She cared so much about all of her students, and she just made everyone feel so welcome,
Aw.
which is one of the reasons I took AP European history my senior year, because I wanted to have her as a teacher again.
That seems kind of difficult.
It does.
No, it was fun.
Did you get credit for it?
I didn't get credit for any of my AP
I don't
classes
think
in high
anybody
school.
in my high school ever got AP.
It was so hard. The AP exams were so hard.
Anyway.
Then you needed to have Sylvia White, who was my AP English teacher at Broughton.
Oh.
And anybody who had Sylvia White, Miss White, they could tell you, she would get you prepared. And I know this for a fact because I started the year with her saying, my papers would be nothing but red, just look like an autopsy. And she said, there's no way. just would get maybe a 1 out of 5 on this thing. And by the end of the year, she had me ready, got a 5 on that thing, got the credit. She was that good, but she took the time with everybody. Central theme here, I think, of our teachers.
Yeah.
So many more. I could name honorable mention to Jeff Richardson, JR, who ran the band at Broughton for years. But yeah.
Hey, I was in band too. What'd you play?
Clarinet, nothing exciting.
Oh, I played the trombone.
I think that kind of shows, though, that the effect that teachers have on students.
do.
Because we think about the
Yeah.
ones that we built like personal and like actual good relationships with first before we think about, oh, this one taught me a lot, but did not like me.
True. I mean, I think for the most part, when I look back, I was very blessed. Most of my teachers seemed pretty invested in us as people, wanted us to be good people and do good things and enjoy it.
I think a lot of people feel like they were blessed to have good teachers. I think without really even recognizing it, you know?
Yeah. And if you look back, if you look at your kids' teachers, probably feel that way about them as well. I mean, I feel like my kids had good teachers.
Yeah.
I feel like I definitely had some teachers who I was just like, we just don't, personalities didn't match. There were some students who got along with those teachers great. It was fine, but just did not mesh at all. A lot of me.
And there were some teachers I wanted to send red back on their comments because, I don't want to see.
Yeah.
You got to hold teachers to a higher standard in terms of misspellings and stuff like that. But that was rare, honestly, with my kids looking back. It was, for the most part, really good people who I could never do what they did.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that. No patience.
Well, that's a good note to end on. Good luck as you start the new year, teachers and students. And
Yay.
We'll have a new show for you next week.